All right. We are back for another long-awaited adventure for our podcast. It's been a while. I have Ryan with me. Ryan, how are you?
I've had better days.
Yeah, me too. So this podcast is coming live right after the Super Bowl, Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And that's pretty much what we're going to hit hard on and go with. Ryan, starting out, I want to say that I felt like this game, if Chiefs won, it would be close. And I told somebody that earlier today. I told somebody earlier this week. But I said I felt like if the Eagles won, they would win like in a blowout. And a blowout usually in NFL is like 20, 25 points usually. And I felt like it was going that way. I'm not sure if I liked the game. Like it was close, or I guess they kind of went back and forth. Like there wasn't just an explosion of offense. You can look at the score and go, oh, well, it's 38-35. You know, that's an explosion. But it's not like the Chiefs Rams game, that regular season game where they just went back and forth, back and forth. You know, even those defense scored and those things, there's a lot of sacks in that game. I don't know. Like, I just don't know overall if I enjoyed the game. One thing is, I might be just because I didn't care. I'm kind of like Christian McCaffrey. Hope for both teams to lose. I don't really care for the Eagles coach. I guess I kind of like Jalen Hurts a little bit and his story. I like Andy Reid to an extent. You know, Patrick Mahomes has never given me anything to dislike him. But here's what I think, and then I'll let you, before we get into like the game aspect of it. I don't know if it's the Chiefs or just Mahomes. I feel like, especially in the last 2 weeks, but definitely the postseason. I feel like since Tom Brady is done and he got eliminated, it's kind of like WWE. There's no Rock, there was no Stone Cold, and they try to make Cena the savior, and he won all the time, and people just didn't like that, so people booed him. And then Cena went off to the movies, and they try to make Roman Reigns the next big thing, and people booed him because he won all the time. And I feel like just the media is pushing this, talking about how Mahomes could be the first player in the first 6 years of his career to win 2 MVPs and 2 titles. And the only people that's done that, it'd be the first person ever in the NFL. And the only people that's done that is Joe DiMaggio and, all these other sports. Like, and I get it. Like, I feel like they're putting him up there and they're going to make him the next LeBron James, is what I figure. Now, he's got a better record already. He's 2-1 in Super Bowls, where LeBron James was 0-2 and was 1-2 in his first 3 trips to the finals. But I feel like that's what's going to happen. Like LeBron James hasn't done anything bad outside the NBA. He's never been hated, or you heard that he's cheated or, stole or anything like that, arrested. You don't really hear anything about Patrick Mahomes. He seems like a great guy. He does a lot for the community. He's involved with buying sports teams and wants to be in that aspect of things. But I don't know, I just feel like that's where we're going, where the Chiefs are going to be that situation, and who knows? There's another rumor that Andy Reid is talking about retiring. He might retire and it might not be as good because, it might be Andy Reid's play calling that makes Patrick Mahomes look great. Because I knew Patrick Mahomes was going to throw touchdowns. I knew he was going to put up yards. He still has Travis Kelce. He had Travis Kelce before he had Tyreek Hill, so I knew he was still going to do that.
That's what I don't understand.
What?
Like now, I want to say this real quick. Patrick Mahomes, I do think he's a great player. Travis Kelce, I do think he's a great player. I'm not taking away from their playing abilities, but I do not understand for the life of me. And I know that every other football fan that even knows ball, that knows how the game works, doesn't understand this either. How can someone be that open 24/7? It does not make any sense whatsoever. Like, it's like you're right. As long as he's got Travis Kelce there, he's gonna continue to be good because that is like, I don't know what it is. He must really like have like some kind of invisibility cloak or something on some other players because that dude is open way too much.
Mm-hmm.
It is like the most baffling thing I have ever watched in the existence of existence.
Like,
Sorry.
no, you're right. Like when they played Tampa, they made him throw the Travis Kelce. Now they were little like 3 and 4 yard checkdowns, but they were not getting beat by Tyreek Hill. And
Yeah.
that's what teams did last year against him. And Tyreek Hill did well. He didn't do Tyreek Hill numbers, but that's just, I don't know. Like, I agree. Like Cooper Kupp, like his situation is he gets the ball kind of like Wes Welker and them did. You knew the ball was going to him, but like Travis Kelce can run routes. I
Yeah,
get
he
that.
can.
But
Again, that he's a good player,
but
but it's just
I,
how
I I
much.
agree. He is so wide open in the middle of the field. In the middle of the field. And I don't understand why, like, and I get it. You have Juju Smith Schuster, who was like a number 2 and then a main guy in Pittsburgh. So it's not like Juju is out of his prime to be a guy, so they could easily make him a target. And I know Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes is smart enough to say, well, can't throw a Travis Kelce. Let's go over top to Juju. But let's go. Um, let's jump into this game. So just a little feedback on it. 7-7, very quick out the gate. Finished 7-7 out the first quarter. I joked around. I was like, watch. I was like, no one will score to the fourth quarter, which I was wrong. But I was like, that would be funny. Everybody scored so quick. Defense were going to make adjustments, and we were going to see. But I'm just going to talk some stats. That Pacheco guy, he's kind of a gadget thing, Um, he had 76 yards. He did have a touchdown. Mahomes had a couple big runs and got 44 yards. McKinnon, but they lined up McKinnon fullback, and he did some blocking. He did some running. I thought that was pretty smart right there. But Patrick Mahomes only had 182 for 3 touchdowns. Some of that, he still threw 27 times, but some of that is mainly because, like at one point, he only had the ball for 8 minutes.
And I got to point this out too. And again, this is nothing against Patrick Mahomes at all, but like 2 of those plays that he got touchdowns on, like we're all gonna always look back at those 2 plays and go, what were the Eagles thinking? Like one of them, we actually know what they were thinking. Like Greg Olson, is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
He did a great job of breaking down the first one, but the second one, where it was just like, that zero blitz or that zero blitz, and it was like everyone blitzing, everyone sitting there going, what was that? Like why would you do that right there? Like those were the most baffling
Well,
defensive plays of all time.
let's talk about his 3 touchdowns. So the first one, they took some people away from the corner and had the safety and stuff bite towards the middle of the field. Kelce kind of ran a route, messed up. I guess it was the cornerback, maybe a safety on him, and got deep. So there's no protection in the corner of the end zone. Mahomes lobs it up. That's poetry. Like the only person that could get it was going to be Kelce. Now the other one, the pass that went to Tony, he acts like he's going in motion, plants his foot hard, and Slay, who is supposed to be the end all be all, according to what they say. He's telling his guy, which I'm pretty sure he's telling him, watch that side because you've got Tony now, and Tony plants that foot. They hike it. He spins wide open. Slay knew no chance getting him. And then they run the same play to Moore on the other side after that big, huge run by Tony. And now it wasn't as effective because there was a lineman right there. He went a little bit further in. So the lineman went right around him. Might have been just a busted coverage, but it was the same thing, just to the left side, just a different player. But other than that, Juju finally caught some passes in the second half. I think he had like 3 in a row, but he finished with 7 and 53. Kelsey slowed down a little bit after the first half. He only had 6 for 81 and then that 1 touchdown. But like, I don't know, Tony had that big punt return. Just got a wall on the right side, kind of set that up. But it was 24-14 at half. Butker going to field goal, that would be hurt. But they kept talking about, oh, they got double-digit lead. They wanted to make it to seem like that was that bad of a deficit. Double-digit. That's the lowest deficit of double digits you can get. That's when double digits start is 10. It's not like it's double digits and it's a 3-score game. It's double digits, and it's like you said, it's Patrick Mahomes. They are like the Golden State Warriors of football. They did a little ring around the rosy thing before they go up. In a way, they're fun to watch, and Mahomes is talented, and he's just like Steph Curry. He's going to score. Steph Curry is going to eventually hit a 3. And they just made it seem like this Eagles defense was just that good. And I said at halftime, if Mahomes can't be mobile, it's going to stink that the fact that the Eagles have won back-to-back games because of not healthy quarterbacks. Like all the Eagles, and even a friend of mine that's on Facebook, wants to post stuff that the 49ers said about Christian McCaffrey saying, I hope both teams lose. Okay, Jamar Chase said it. And I'm not going to get into there.
Oh man, like it's not about both teams losing, but if anyone knows how I feel about this game that has ever listened to this podcast before, that with an undying hatred or an undying passion, I have a hatred, an actual hatred for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, and I get that.
It's fun. For one of the only thing that's fun for me right now, and it's the only thing that's fun for me, is that there are Broncos players on Twitter right now talking about how much they hate the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well,
and my only hope is that the stinking other 3, or well, actually other 2, the other one, I don't know what they're doing, but these other 2 AFC West teams finally put a kibosh on this dynasty that's been building. But let's continue talking about the game.
so before we break down some things, some more things about it, stats, and this has to do with the time of possession. Somebody talking about time of possession. It was really out of hand till kind of late, but it was 35 minutes to 24. Actually, almost 30 minutes to 24. Eagles had 6 penalties for 33 yards. Chiefs had 3 penalties for 14. Both had the same amount of punts. Eagles actually gave up 2 sacks. They were 72 plays to the Kansas City's 53. They had 11 of 18 third downs converted, where Chiefs had 4 of 8. 25 first downs to 21 for the Eagles. Kansas City had more rushing yards. Who would think? That Kansas City would have 43 more rushing yards than the Chiefs? Passing yards, 120 yards more for the Eagles. You might have, like the way you look at it, you would think that, well, Kansas City probably should have more passing yards because it's Mahomes, and Eagles should have more rushing yards because of what they do on offense. Now, I really think Eagles planned on coming out and doing what they have been doing in the first half. I felt like they didn't want to change anything they were doing. They felt comfortable with that lead. And I think Kansas City just did well with adjusting a little bit on offense to be able to score every time they could on the second half, getting some key stops on defense. Now, in our house, we were talking about some of the different things that happened. Like one was the catch Devontae Smith. So I'm going to back up a couple weeks ago. They talk about the great catch, and it was a top 10 play by Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith caught a catch against the San Francisco 49ers. He immediately got up and did the huddle signal and told his players to hurry and get down that field because he knew he did not catch that ball. They didn't get the replay in time. The 49ers didn't. Ran it in 2 plays later, if I'm not mistaken. Went up 7-0. And now they can say, what's a top 10 catch of the year or something like that, or of the week. And I'm like, well, yeah, it does count as a catch, but then again, it wasn't. Like it actually hit the ground and it moved and stuff like that. Like it was not a catch. It wasn't like the whole Dez Bryant crap. Like it actually hit the ground. And Shanahan said he saw that actual replay after the touchdown. But tonight, Devontae Smith catches it. He kind of bobbles it, pins it up against his head a little bit for a second, is when he will have possession and did have the feet in bounds, but when he brought it in, the ball hits the ground and does a lot of movement in there, and it can hit the ground, but it just can't have movement. And that's what they were kind of talking about, when they talked to like that replay official. And so that's why they called it no catch. So I agree with that. The other one was the scoop and score. At first, when I saw it, I had to like replay it in my head. Did he throw it behind him? Because if he throws it behind him, that's a fumble right there. But that one's kind of 50-50. They talk about the whole making a football move, the whole process. He caught the ball. He kind of goes up the field, but he didn't make quote unquote move, got hit. And so it's an incomplete pass. So Kansas City doesn't get those points. The other one was the Goddard catch. There's a little disagreement about that, but he caught it because when he got possession, he bobbled it. When he got possession, his left toe was still on the ground while his right foot was planted. So he completed that process. So I think both of those were looked at fairly well. I think they were both fairly called. Other than that, I didn't see, I saw some things that could have been a hold on, the offensive line, or I saw things where quarterback gets hit in the head, just slapping the head. And I'm like, that's roughing the passer 3 weeks ago, but, whatever. But I thought overall, to the most part, the game was pretty good. The one part was the hold at the end. I don't really think it was a hold, but it's just one of those situations. Like I coach basketball and I think about the refs. I don't agree with everything the refs say, but then again, I know they don't always see. I think this one ref is looking here and this one ref is looking here and this one ref's looking here. And the guy caught it from his angle. He probably thought that he got spun around because he was being held. Because from the position, it does look even like that replay guy, he said that he was talking about how he grabbed him and stuff there, but I didn't see it unless it was something that happened on the spin to go on the wheel route. Like, I don't know, because I'm not seeing it from where they kept pausing the stuff. But my thing about that is, like, I know that they still, like, they got the automatic first down. They didn't want to try to score. And I know different plays could be ran, different plays could be called, but they were about the 20, 25 yard line, something like that. And I don't know, Booker is like 75%, 80% of his kicks. I feel like Booker's still going to hit that field goal, but I don't know. Like it was a tough call, but I don't know. But anywho, so give me your take on either some of the stuff I've talked about, your breakdown of first half, second half, things like that.
The worst part about this whole entire game, and now I'm going to get into the things that drive me crazy about this team. But the worst part of the whole entire game, the worst unit on the field, the whole entire game was the Eagles defense. No question about it. They had people just wide open. You know, I don't understand how you can, you have this team that does the same thing week in and week out. And by the same thing, I mean like they have the go-to, and still somehow Travis Kelce is wide open, even in the middle of the field. It's the most baffling thing. You had 2 weeks to prepare. Uh, like they couldn't stop the run, they couldn't stop the pass. I think they got like 2 actual stops the whole entire game. And then the Chiefs scored, I think, every drive of the second half. I don't think they punted once at all. But so that was like the worst. That was the worst defensive display I have seen since college football. To be quite honest with you, I liked what the Eagles were doing offensively. I do think there was probably a way to ramp it up the second half, like add to it instead of what they did in the second half. I thought, I didn't think they took a step back, but I didn't think they could have. I think they could have played with more intensity and probably did some things differently than they did. So it was really frustrating to, it was really frustrating just to, watch them. I thought they had an opportunity to score every single drive, and it just didn't take it. Like their line broke down in some crucial moments, and it's like, what the heck are you doing? And
Well,
then there was
see,
some play calls that I was like, why are you calling this here? Like,
I
like some second down plays. It's like you would think that the game plan would be because they're so good at it. There's like some second down plays that they're in like a position. It's like if you just get like 3 or 4 yards on a run play, and then do that something like that again on third down. I mean, there's no question about it. You're going to get that fourth down call because y'all are just so good at the quarterback sneak. Although it's not a quarterback sneak, we all know what's about to happen.
yeah, they're fixing to shove the guy ahead. Is what they're going to do.
Yeah,
But I thought it was 14-7, and the Eagles had the ball, and I was like, they're fixing to go up 21-7. And then fumble, scooped it up, went and scored, 14-point swing easily. Now I know they were still 70 yards away from scoring, but I just felt like the momentum was all their way. And then, when that happens, now Eagles did go down and score 10 more points to take a 10-point lead, but if they can get another key stop like they did and score again, they at least have another touchdown. And so now it's 28-7. Let's say they don't get a field goal.
yeah.
Now it's 28-7. And and I get it, but they got outscored 24-11 in the second half. Eagles didn't get another touchdown until late in the fourth.
But I'm going to get into something here in a moment. But I do also want to say I really like that. Like I thought after that Jalen Hurts, that fumble and everything, what I thought was really good of them to do was to put the ball back in his hands. And the fact that they went back down there and scored after that fumble, I thought, wow, this is the game is definitely not over because a lot of times, I mean, especially when you're the first time team in the Super Bowl, well, first time, a majority of the first time team in the Super Bowl, and everything, when that kind of stuff happens, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm kind of sitting there thinking to myself, oh, well, that's it. That's all she wrote, because, you get something like that to happen to you and it can really be all she wrote. But they trusted Jalen Hurts and he delivered. I thought Dallas Goddard played a great game. Like, he played in many ways, he played right up there. His level was right up there with Kelsey's level. And I thought that's really good, and everything. I'm a bit surprised they didn't rely more on the RPO. Like they didn't do it as much as I thought they would.
Yeah.
Like the running portion of the RPO, anyways. Um, especially because the Chiefs defense is not really, it's not really a run stopping defense by any means. It's not bad, but it's also not good. And I thought maybe they could figure out a way to start gashing them in the run game. I mean, yes, Jalen Hurts did gash them a little bit, but I thought they could gash them. I thought they could get them a little bit more in the run game. They're unfortunately their special teams failed them with that one punt. I don't know what's going on there. And the other thing is too, and this is nothing against either team because neither team could help this. They tried to work against this, but someone put on Twitter earlier, like, did there was supposed to be such a good pass rush with the Eagles defensive line, and they were like, I don't think they touched Patrick Mahomes once. And my point was like they actually almost got to him a couple times, and they slipped, and that's because of the field. You can actually see it in the first quarter. In fact, when we were watching the game, I was like, why are they? The whole team, all of the Eagles team, like they fell like a couple times, not all of them, but like on both sides of the ball, there was some like crucial plays where they just slipped. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then I realized as the game went on, it was the field, and
Yeah.
what they had done to the field. And I was like, okay, because like that really did like affect some actual drives early on in the game. It
Which
did
is
not
crazy because
surprise
they
me.
focused on the Eagles changing out their cleats and
Yeah.
showed a big stack of cleats on their sideline, but they never said anything about the Chiefs.
Yeah, but I will say I saw some crucial Chiefs players actually slip up a couple times. In fact, there was one time in the late game, who was the running back again?
For
The Chiefs. It was one of the running backs,
well,
but he had the
Pacheco
ball.
is the main one, and Jarrett McKinnon.
I think it might have been McKinnon. I think it might have been McKinnon. And like he slipped. Like you can see him slip. And it worked in his favor because the Eagles player kind of went past him and he's able to regain control and slip the other way and get some more yards out of it. And I was going, well, there's nothing you can really do about that because, he just, he slipped and he just managed to regain some control. So it was really frustrating that happened. Now, the other thing I was going to get into was just my haterness of the Chiefs and the fact that I do absolutely, because I hate them so much, believe that the refs worked in their favor in the crucial moment of the game because I hate that call. I absolutely hate that call, and I have a conspiracy. You want to know what my conspiracy is?
What's that?
And I could actually look. I could roll with this. I could roll with this conspiracy, and everything. But you brought it up. You know, Tom Brady is finished. Well, we think Tom Brady's finished. He's not going to quarterback anymore, and if he does quarterback, he's not going to be as good. Here's my conspiracy world, and if you want to fight me on it, world, feel free to. I think I'll probably die on this hill just because there is now a new need for a goat. Do I think the NFL said we need to make sure Patrick Mahomes wins this game at all costs? No, I do not. Do I think that there could have been a call to the refs at some point during the game, maybe before the game, where they were told, hey, look, if the game starts going their way, like if it seems like they could, if they could win it, give them a call if they need a call. Lo and behold, what happens at the very end of the game? They're down. It's a third. They have the third down. It would have been a fourth down because they missed it. And it's like, They get a call that is in their favor that goes that way. That leads them to scoring the game winning field goal. I absolutely believe that's something that could happen. I absolutely believe that's something that the NFL would want to happen because now you have the new solidified GOAT. Now you have the one that everyone's chasing because I think he's now the only quarterback in the league that has won 2 Super Bowls or that has multiple rings. Does any other quarterback actually have a ring on them right now?
Not sure.
I'm trying to think. Well, Russell Wilson, but that's about it. And he's a far cry from being the GOAT. So you have the official GOAT, the one that the NFL is going to push, their baby face, if you will. And so yeah, I could argue or I could believe that the NFL said, hey, look, if it's a crucial moment and you see something that looks a little bit iffy, go their way. And sure enough, again, third down happens. It's a iffy looking call, and the refs are like, well, this is a pass interference. Sets them up, win the game. And now you have the chase. The chase now begins. Who's going to be the one that's going to get the ring next? That's a young quarterback. Is it going to be Burrow? Is it going to be Hurts? Is it going to be Allen? Is it going to be Herbert? Is it going to be one of these new guys that are coming up? Which is the young guy that's going to get it and everything. And it makes it interesting. I'm not going to deny that. It makes it interesting, but I mean, come on. Come on. How does this team get the calls when they matter most? I hate you, Chiefs. I hate you so much. I don't hate the people because I think they're probably good people at the end of the day, but I hate that organization with every fiber of my being, and I want you all to lose or come and play for my team.
Well, like I said, I get you. I see your point of view and stuff, but like I said earlier, I could still see where you could possibly call that because it does kind of look like he got wrapped around. I don't think he did, but I think it was just one of those things where it looked like it, just kind of like a hold looking like something, and then you throw the flag.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, there's enough there. Like, if it was a phantom
but no,
call,
it's not like the Cincinnati game or some of the other games where like no, he didn't even touch him or like a rough in the passer like it has been all year where the guy pushes him down or something and patty cakes with him. They call it like.
you know what? I'll be honest with you. When they threw that flag, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, we're finally getting the roughing the passer call that's been missing all night. Because I thought there was a couple times both teams did some stuff that I was like, I'm surprised they didn't call that. Though I think they should have called it is a different story.
Well,
But
I think they did everything great, like with the whole thing they called a catch at first, and then Kansas City ran it back. They could have easily just blew the whistle, and then that's a dead ball, and they can't review it, kind of thing. I think they did great with allow everything to play. But again, I think it's just one of those things. I'm sure it's probably going to be one of the side refs, and like I said, his angle, he might have saw it and just thought, oh, well, the way he whipped around like that, he had to have been held. And then so that's why he threw the flag.
yeah,
But again, I don't think it was. I would probably let him go. I know it's not pass interference because it's not like it stopped him from getting to that ball. I don't think he'd gotten to the ball anyway. But it's just one of those, it was in the line of scrimmage. But there has been some stuff in the season, where I've thought, yeah, that's not a good look. Even some things I felt like in the 49ers game, I just felt like now they were like, well, there's no Brock Purdy. No one wants to see Josh Johnson do good. So we're going to let Eagles get their claim to fame and go.
I think
I
I
did
will
see this
say
on Twitter real quick. I saw this where it said that the Eagles didn't play any good quarterbacks. And they said against Mahomes, Dak, Aaron Rodgers, Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, and they gave up 33.4 points a game. Now, some of those games I think they won, but you still, when you played a good quarterback, you gave up 33 points. Now, who knows if Brock Purdy stayed in that game? Who
I
knows? But
I really like Hurts. Like I like him as a competitor. I like him as a quarterback. I think that we're whatever if he didn't like if he was on any other team, they would be just as good. Like I'm not joking when I say that either. And I think there's a couple quarterbacks in the league that I strongly feel that way about. Most of them are at the top. Like you put them in any system, they're probably going to be a pretty good quarterback and everything. Um, but so I would make it a competitive game. I like the, and I think I told you this during the game when they played them. I like the 49ers defense more and everything, but I mean, it's just so difficult. Like, I've seen this all year with multiple teams across multiple leagues, across multiple sports. It is so difficult to overcome injuries. It just is. And that's what happened with the 49ers. 49ers just had the injury bug hit them. There was at one point I was thinking to myself, like, if they can stay away from injury the rest of the season or the playoffs, then I think they would have probably beat the Eagles in the long run. And I think they would have beat the Chiefs. I really think they would have beat the Chiefs. Like, because I just don't think that, I know they won the Super Bowl. You got to give them props for winning the Super Bowl, but I don't think the Chiefs are the best team in the actual league. I don't think that at all. And I haven't thought that all year. And that doesn't come from hatred of the Chiefs. It comes from their actual team. Andy Reid's a good coach. He calls good plays. I'm not going to take that away from them. They have the best quarterback in the league. And they have the best tight end in the league who, again, I don't understand it, but everything else, in my opinion, is a bit suspect. They're not untouchable, and I think they should have lost multiple games. But just some of the cards fell their way, and you can't be super mad about that. And some of the cards falling their way are some of the teams that they did not have to face or didn't have to face in the Super Bowl, or injury happened to that team. So and mostly it's injuries that happen to those teams. But it's the best team didn't win the game tonight. Like that, I think on paper you can say that the best team, the better team lost the game because Jalen Hurts balled out. Like you can't deny that at all. So he played a great game, and if the switch were flipped and he had the ball with a minute left in the game, I think they could have marched right down there and scored because like they torched the team, they torched the secondary when it mattered most,
yeah,
and everything. I mean, that Devontae Smith catch, the last catch it was amazing, like phenomenal type of, not just really the catch, it was the play itself because he was so wide open, and he would have walked in had he been able to just stay in bounds just a little bit longer, but momentum carried him out.
yeah.
And I think if they were able to go down and score, and like if it was a tie game, I think they wouldn't have gone for a tie game. I think they would have gone for the 2 points, and I think they would have got the 2 points because I honestly don't think the Chiefs were. I don't think the Chiefs could have done it. That's because I don't think their defense is that good, or as good as it should be, or it could be. But it's just really frustrating. I hate the Chiefs so much.
Yeah.
I just do not like them, and I have people that love them so much around me. And
So
I want them to love the Broncos or somebody else.
yeah, I'm looking at this 8-second replay again of that holding call. So when the receiver's going like back in and then planting his foot to go out, his arm is kind of sticking out, and I can't see the cornerback's hand, so I can't see behind him of what that looks like. But it doesn't look like he's holding his arm because it looks like that's pretty free. But as it goes, it looks like the way his hand's positioned, and I get it, you can't really say anything from this, but then again, if you're on the sideline, you might see a different view. Can't tell where his hand is on the right side. Looks like he's possibly grabbing a jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Then, as the guy's rolling out, and number 24 bodies up around him, he's got his left hand on Schuster's hip. And you see his hand kind of cup around his waist.
Yeah, I saw there's a picture
And
that shows it a little bit.
And then like the right hand, again, can't see it. Looks like it's maybe going up into the chest or something, maybe kind of cradling him as he goes around. Then he lets go, and then that left hand slowly comes off, and then they're going down the field. Like, that's the only thing I can think of. Like, maybe if it didn't like he was cupping him around his hip, maybe. But I don't know. I've seen worse holding calls that have not been holding.
I think they should have let it ride. Like that ultimately, like if I had to be super objective, I think let it ride. I mean, it's a crucial part of the game. It wasn't obvious. Like maybe that's where the replay needs to be at and everything to let them get their decision making correct, because it doesn't matter at this point. It doesn't matter if you're anything, unless you're a Chiefs fan, and this is nothing against Chiefs fans, this part right here, unless you're a Chiefs fan, every single time you think about the Super Bowl, you're going to think the holding call at the end of the game is what really decided the game. Is that true? Probably not as true as I would want it to be as a Chiefs hater, but is that true? Again, like that's what like 90% of people are probably going to think is like, well, that decided the game. And it's just it's another strike against the NFL and the jobs that refs have done all year. So I think it was I think it would have been wiser to just let it ride and see what happened anyways, because who knows? I mean, you're going to get the lead no matter what. Unless he misses the field goal, you're probably going to get the lead. And it was close enough to where he probably is not going to miss that field goal. You're probably going to get the field goal, and then you're going to have a minute 40, a minute 30 to march down the field.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, and what I'm thinking is like, look, I know it's Jalen Hurts. I know he's a competitor, but I also know this is his very first Super Bowl to be in. And sometimes the stage can be a little bit too big, no matter who you are. And it might not even be too big for him. It might be too big for Smith. It might be too big for someone on the offensive line. It might be too big for Goddard. It might be too big for AJ Brown, who's not been to the Super Bowl, who's barely been past the first round of the playoffs most of the time. So it's like one of those things where it might be too big for them and everything. And that might be what happens. But for a lot of people, it's going to be, well, the refs decided it, and that's what it's always going to be. And I'm going to push the narrative as someone who hates the Chiefs with more than I love anything else.
Like, again, overall, I don't know. I don't know if I like the game. Like, I guess overall it wasn't bad. But I don't know. Like, it's not because I'm a 49ers fan. It's not ill will. Like, I've cheered for teams that have beaten my team in the Super Bowl. I've cheered for the Giants, I think, who beat 49ers on the way to Super Bowl. I've cheered for others, or even a team I was cheering for, like cheering for the Chargers, see LaDainian Tomlinson win a Super Bowl, and team beats them in the West, but it just had no dog in the fight kind of thing. I was kind of shocked that Jalen Hurts couldn't get the ball down the field on that last play.
Oh, I think he slipped. Like I think if you go back and watch it, it really looked like he slipped to me. And again, that just comes down to the field because like when I watched him, did I just lose? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just for some reason my okay uh my screen froze, but I could okay. Anyways, um as I was watching that play, because I was watching Hurts, I was seeing what he was going to do, and I pretty certain that when he went to plant and throw, his leg went forward a little bit, and it because that ball was really really low, like it was not low, it was really like it came down a lot, quicker, and he's got a strong arm. I mean, we saw his arm go, and I'm fairly certain he slipped. I could be wrong, but I'm almost like I really am certain he slipped at that very end there because he was planting his throwing foot, or his front throwing foot, anyways, and it seemed like it went a couple of inches forward when he planted down to throw the ball.
Now, the other thing I was thinking about was I felt like should have drawn up something better because I was thinking maybe that guy could just ran the ball so just kind of falling in the middle, try to run it for about 10 or 15 more yards to run 2 or 3 seconds more off the clock
Are you talking about
on the
which
last
play?
play or on the kickoff.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised that
Like
they.
just to get more yards and go out of bounds at the one or go out of bounds
Yeah.
with 1 second left. And I was just like, man, you're setting this up for a 65-yard throw. Like I don't know. I just felt like it'd been, I don't know. But
Yeah.
other than that, the Super Bowl commercials were actually good this year.
You know what? I didn't really. It might have been just because of the game, but I didn't pay attention as much attention to the Super Bowl commercials as I have in
Well,
the
I
past.
started not because I think last year was my first year to not really start paying attention to the commercials, but this year I did,
But
and
I,
they didn't get repeated until some of them didn't until second half. There wasn't any real political ones. I saw two that were about Jesus. I thought that was kind of cool. Um, there's some that I didn't know where they were going with, uh, and it was pretty funny. I saw some that showed like some old school like musicians or old school actors, or like the one with the flag football girl and everybody's trying to tackle her. I thought
yeah,
that was kind of funny. Um, Now the one that was really great was it's a Dodge or a Ram commercial about cars, about electricity, and it's titled Premature Electrification. And so the people are talking about their cars pretty much, but the way they're talking, it sounds like they're talking about uh sex and how the like you've just got to watch it. It's really funny. Um,
I think one of the things, and kind of this I think bummed me out a little bit more, and I get what they're doing because they're trying to drive views up on their personal YouTube pages, and I understand the business model. But one of those things that was like you got teasers for all these trailers, and then it was like if you want to see the full trailer, go to our YouTube page. And it's like, well, dang, I thought we were actually gonna get some, you know, long content and everything. But there's
yeah.
some movies coming out that I'm excited for.
Oh yeah. Saw
I mean,
those.
I knew they were coming out, but I mean, I'm still excited for them.
There was one
Um,
that has Matt Damon and Ben Affleck talking about,
the Nike
air.
Jordan,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
the Air
one
Jordan, I thought it's cool.
looked good.
You know, speaking of those two, I think they're also doing something. They're also doing another sports movie at some point about the Lakers.
Mm,
I need to look that up. But I thought I like that. I want to see that movie and everything.
We talked about this on a podcast a while back about the Flash. Um, like excited about that. Love seeing like Michael Keaton pop up and he goes, "I'm Batman." He was
Yeah.
great. Uh, Still kind of hate about Ezra Miller being in there, but it is what it
Well,
is.
I know uh, I have this suspicious feeling, like a suspicious feeling. This movie supposedly is really good. And by the supposedly really good, I mean like some of the people that I've read or that I follow and everything have said that it has done really well with test audiences.
Well,
So
I'm not saying
so
anything bad.
the
I
reason why
know
I'm
it's going to be good. The only
well,
thing
the reason
is,
why
I
I'm
hate
saying
about
that,
Ezra Miller.
yeah, the reason why I'm saying that is because there is this belief, or there was this belief for the longest time, that it was just going to that James Gunn was going to reboot everything. I'm kind of suspecting a little bit that depending on how well this movie does, that some of these elements are kept for his universe. So, like, he has, I don't know if you saw it, but 2 weeks ago, he announced the lineup, and one of those is the Supergirl movie. And I'm just kind of suspecting that if she does really well as Supergirl, that girl that's playing Supergirl right now will continue to be Supergirl for whatever iteration of the you know of or for James Gunn's iteration. And I also suspect that Michael Keaton's Batman will come back in some capacity at some point in time in the future. That's just my thinking, though. I really don't have any kind of grounding on it other than speculation. So, there's that.
Well, um, what about some of the real quick before we dismiss? What about some of the NFL awards?
Um,
Surprises, expectations.
I didn't follow it as much. And this again, this is going to come down to, you're probably going to think that I'm being too much of someone who hates this team. But I really think if Jalen Hurts didn't get hurt, he would have been the MVP. That's what I think of, not, of the league. I can understand why I went to Patrick Mahomes though, and everything. I forgot who won. Who can you give? Do you have a list of the awards in front of you right now?
Fix to pull it up. What are you looking for?
I'm just gonna jog my memory on who won what, because I have seen who won these, but I'm just not like remembering exactly everyone.
Well, there's MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, the
It was
Rookie
like
Awards.
the rookie player of the year. I think shocked me a little bit. Like, I was like, huh. I like the fact that I'm looking at the NFL from 2022, the AP Coach of the Year, Brian Daboll. I actually like that. I thought he deserved that award for completely turning around the Giants in one year and making Daniel Jones look like
Well,
a
but here's my
competent
thing.
quarterback.
So why doesn't someone, and this is not really me being, anything towards San Francisco, but why doesn't Shanahan get it?
Yeah, I can understand that argument, because like he took a
Like
backup
I thought, even
quarterback.
when he went 8-8 or 5-11 a couple years ago, I thought the way that his team competed every single game, he should have got Coach of the Year a couple years ago. It's kind of like in baseball.
Yeah.
Felix Hernandez, who was with the Mariners, he led almost every statistic. He led the league in strikeouts, ERA, like. But the thing was, he played on a team that could not bat, and he had a Like he was like 10-10 was his record. He didn't play on the Yankees who could hit home runs, and so CC Sabathia wins the Cy Young Award. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not fair. Like Randy Johnson had numerous one hit games, but in his team, like he'd give up one hit, because of a home run or something, and his team loses 1-0,
Yeah.
and he gets the loss. It's not his fault, but it's not his fault. Felix Hernandez did great, and so I felt like you go on that huge winning streak with Garoppolo for a little bit, and you're able to work Christian McCaffrey in your lineup, and even without Deebo Samuel, you have a third string quarterback step in that works out a great chemistry with George Kittle very quickly. You have a 1,000-yard receiver in Brandon Ayuk, which no one expected him to have that season. And you go on this tear, starting to score 30-something points a game.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like, yeah, Patrick
So
Mahomes, I can see him getting it. Comeback player of the year, Geno Smith.
I think you could what could I think if he had a couple more games, I would argue I could argue Christian McCaffrey for that award because wasn't he out a lot of last season?
For last season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could argue him. Okay, these are the two that kind of baffled me, and maybe some of it is because of the offense. I don't know, Garrett Wilson, the Jets wide receiver. I'm sorry, the Jets offense didn't seem like it was that good this year. You know, it doesn't. I don't know. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. And what
I
really
don't
doesn't make sense to
I
me
don't
is
understand either because he so okay. Now, he had 83 receptions, he had 1,100 yards, and he had 4 touchdowns. So 4 touchdowns, but 83, like for that, I guess for that team, you would think, hey, that's pretty good. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Uh, but I guess you can say, man, the Jets are going to be good because they had Sauce Gardner, their cornerback, get defensive rookie of the year.
I don't. I'm sorry. That one, no, no. I saw that man commit the most obvious defensive pass interference calls this year that did not get called, and it's just like, what? Like there was a crucial one in the Broncos game where he just basically tackled Jerry Judy. I think it was Jerry Judy before the ball was even in his hand, and like they did not call it. And it was like it was a horse collar and everything, and it was one of the most baffling things. And that dude, like, I saw so many teams or fans of teams, other teams, just complaining about that dude's pass interference this whole entire year. And when I saw him get defensive rookie of the year, I was sitting there going, "Really, him? That's strange." But I guess whatever. At the end of the day, it is what it is.
Like, and see, my other thing is, you know, well, it's not even a thing, but like, um, Justin Jefferson, offensive player of the year, I can see that. Nick Bosa, you know, I thought he should have won comeback player of the year last year. But he won defensive player of the year. He should have. Um, but like,
D'Amico Ryan's got the assistant coach of the year.
yep, he did.
Now he's off
Um,
to be the head coach at the Texans.
so I don't know. I guess that, like I said, yeah, Jalen Hurts, possibly if he still plays those other games, he could possibly get it. But I don't know. I just feel like coach of the year for you to put a third string quarterback in, that the only other time he played was when was a route of the 49ers getting beat by the Kansas City Chiefs. He comes in 2 games later, or not 2 games later. He comes in 2 months later, and then steps in to get a win over the Dolphins, who were pretty good at the time, to dominate the Buccaneers, to do good against the Seahawks, the Redskins, or right, the Commanders, do well against them, and then hold his own against the Raiders, and then just dominate the Cardinals to turn around and in the playoffs dominate the Seahawks. He didn't throw any touchdowns against the Cowboys, but he didn't need to. And then he gets hurt. Like, he still went 4 for 4 against the Eagles. One of those throws was at that torn UCL. So I don't know, but
our division, theoretically, our division next year could put a kibosh on this Chiefs Kingdom crap. Broncos, if you don't get your stuff together. Chargers, if you don't, I don't know what you need to do other than just let your head coach step back. Raiders, y'all are stupid. Go away. No one likes you. Derek Carr is trying to kill your organization from the inside. He's at least hurting them on their way out, that is. Did you see that he's decided that he doesn't want to be traded? He wants to be let go. Which people are like, it hurts you. And I'm thinking, yeah, it does hurt him, but it hurts them worse because they don't get first round draft picks out of it.
Yeah.
Or, well, crucial draft picks, that is. I don't know if they would get a first for.
And see, here's my thing.
It's Carr.
It's Josh McDaniels.
Oh, yeah. That and the owner, they're just the worst.
Man, he didn't do too well when he was with the Broncos.
Yeah.
With his quarterback situation. So.
Yeah. And he had to cheat.
Yep. So.
I'm interested. I'm very interested in like what's going to happen now that the off season's here. Regardless of who won the Super Bowl, I've actually been very interested in the off season stuff that's about to go down. There are rumors that the Commanders are about to be sold. I've heard that a couple times, that they could be sold early in the off season. So I'm kind of interested to see what happens there. I feel like the owners might pull a Broncos and just let whatever happens this year, and then kind of turn things around next year. They have more leeway to do that. And everything. I don't know if there's going to be any other surprise firings at the end of this year. Now, there will be coaches that are going to be moving around some more. From my understanding, I think the Eagles offensive coordinator might be the next head coach at the Colts. So I think that's that's kind of interesting to see how that all plays out and whatnot. There's some crucial second positions coordinator positions that have to be filled on all the league. Rex Ryan is apparently one of the interviews for the Broncos defensive coordinator. So I feel like they'll figure that out hopefully before the week's end out. But now I'm excited about the player movement, because now player movement's going to start happening sooner rather than later. And I'm kind of interested to see what happens there and everything.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Do you have any big predictions? Do you have any big predictions?
No. I don't know. Coaches matter. I think 49ers are going to try to keep that defense. Hopefully, whoever they got can just implement the same aggression and stuff with the defensive line they got, the awesome linebacker core and that secondary, and just keep them going. Joe Montana, I don't know how much Joe Montana knows the game. People playing and then knowing the game, is different. I know Joe Montana is one of the greatest to play. But, when you see like those sportscasters doing their picks, who's going to win, you usually see the coaches having a better record of who's picking, who's winning.
Yeah.
So, because they just know the game. But like Joe said that he thinks that the 49ers should keep Garoppolo. Trade off Trey Lance.
I think they will. I don't think you can keep Garoppolo. I mean, I don't think you can trade off Trey Lance at this point. Like there was something that I think Shannon Sharp, he's the one that said it recently, because they were talking about Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, and everything. And I think he said that like Brock Purdy looks like the unquestionable starter at this point. But you've spent too much on Trey Lance at this point as well to not
have
see.
you really though?
I mean,
like
2 first round, was it like they, a bunch of picks?
Well,
I don't know. And I guess it really just depends.
But but then again,
well, you're
6 games into the season, he could have 3 touchdowns and 11 interceptions and only averaging 180 yards. And it's like, because he didn't play but one real year in college, and he got all this hype, and the Justin Fields and all those comparisons of who should have gotten picked was there. And I'm not saying Trey Lance can't be good, but the thing is, he did not look great against the Bears. He did not look good in what he started.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. How much of X next year do you want to eat? Because I forgot. Like I was just reminded in my own head that you don't have Brock Purdy for probably all of next year. Likely all of next year.
That's not what they have said.
I thought he was having to have Tommy John surgery.
They have said that he would be ready by training camp.
Oh, my bad. Then disregard what I was about to say. Because what I was about to say was,
because that's the main talk here recently.
From draft picks, because
he is open to a quarterback competition, is what he said in recent days.
Well, I mean, I think no matter what, you don't get rid of Brock Purdy. He ran that offense like it needed to be run. Mm-hmm. It was really good. And a quarterback like that, to be honest with you, you could call whatever he was doing a flash in the pan, and he got lucky sometimes. Maybe. I don't think anybody's. I don't think you
get maybe.
But what I'm saying is like what I was gonna say was he's, as long as he stays in that system, because that's a very specific system to be in, he's just going to keep getting better in it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was going to say was, if you're out for next year, do you eat next year for draft picks? And I would consider it. Like I would sit down with, like if I was Shanahan, I would sit down with Lynch and the owners and say, hey, look, this is what we're thinking. We're not trying to tank, but we're not as worried about the Super Bowl next year or we're not worried about getting to the playoffs in the Super Bowl this next year as we will be the following year when we have Purdy back full health. We think he could be the starter. We can ride with whoever's the quarterback. And if we can work for some draft picks if we really want to. And then what? You add more pieces to your offense, your weapons, which you have. Realistically, you have some of the best offensive production in the whole entire league. But I mean, it's now doesn't hurt to have more by any means. You're probably going to want to get a running back or two at some point in the future. Maybe another star wide receiver if you want to go offense. I don't know how much longer do you think Kittle plays?
Kittle's got at least 7-8 years in him. He's not old.
Yeah, well, I don't know. So that's why I'm asking that question. But an offensive line or two to stouten up your offensive line. I love their defense. Good night. I love their defense. You talk about linebackers. You said something about linebackers there a moment ago. And I think a mark of a good, like, you've got a good linebacker core is when the whole, like, most fan bases hate them. And I have not seen, people talk about Dre Greenlaw being so, dirty and everything as a player. And I'm like, he's hitting you. Like, he was not like that at Arkansas. He's just, I mean, he would hit you at Arkansas, but what I'm saying is, like, he's not a dirty player. He's just hitting you. He's hitting you hard. And you don't like that. You don't like it when your players get hit hard, because that's what their linebackers are doing,
Well,
and
I feel
everything.
like when the team says things about you, like George Kittle, hey, George Kittle might be saying it because he had a great relationship and was getting a lot of passes from him. I don't know, but he had the highest passer rating of any rookie to throw at least 200 passes. And,
Oh, I liked
George
it.
Kittle says it's his starting job to lose. You have other people saying like it's his job, things like that. I just feel like obviously, like Jimmy Garoppolo's just not going to keep hanging around and keep hanging around, keep hanging around, because it's going to be like the Kurt Warner crap again. Kurt Warner was pretty much said, you know what, we're going with Mark Bolger, you're leaving the Rams. So then we're like, well, we're signing you with the Cardinals, and we just want to keep you around because we want you to put Matt Leinart under his wing. Well, then Matt Leinart didn't do very well, so they stuck him in there. He took the Cardinals to a Super Bowl, and then they got rid of him because like, well, we want Matt Leinart to be the star. And so he goes to the Giants and they're like, well, we want you to make Eli a star. And then Eli didn't do very well. And so he got to play and he kind of, his last year. And it's kind of like, I don't want Jimmy Garoppolo to be like that. I don't want, even though he's been proven a winner, I just don't want the 49ers to keep holding on to him, keep holding on to him, and let so many wasted years go off. But
I,
I don't know. It's just that the Bears defense, like Justin Fields, he put up numbers, but they didn't win. He didn't have a running back. He didn't have a receiver. The offensive line was crap. The defense wasn't great. The 49ers just looked like crap. And I get it. The conditions at Soldier Field were slop, just pig slop. And I just don't feel like Trey Lance was in that system ready to go. For him to have known it for a year and then had all summer and it's your job, and then a third string quarterback who has been playing with practice squad people, and pretty much the defense has been going against him. Like, pretty much that's the reason why he was so good. He was going against the best defense in the league every single day.
yeah.
So he wasn't scared going up against the Cowboys. He wasn't scared going against the Buccaneers. He wasn't scared at all. And he was never just scared. He was always ready to go. And I just like, crap. I would say, obviously, you don't need to keep Josh Johnson. You just need to find another decent backup somewhere. Or, like, either get your money's worth out of Trey Lance now, get your money worth out of Jimmy Garoppolo, since obviously they said the last couple of weeks of the season, Jimmy G and Shanahan's chemistry went AWOL. So he's not going to want
Okay.
to stay.
That's my thing. Is like, that happens. That's the second year Tommy. That's the second year in a row that seems to be like the take. Um, I don't know if that's true or not, but like I said, it happens twice now, so it could just be like a thing where they're spinning stuff just to spin stuff. And I believe that a bunch of NFL players and coaches this year have called out, rightfully so, some spins on, drama that's supposedly happening. Um, Basically saying, like, this is not happening. Like, we don't know why you're saying this,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Like, I think it's probably, I don't know,
Yeah.
if you're gonna if Trey Lance isn't the future, who do you trade him to? Who do you think would take him? Um,
Tennessee.
Yeah, that's not a bad one because I
because
think
that's where one of the 49ers execs went as the GM or whatever. And as soon as he did that, they said Trey Lance put
fun,
that
super
little,
fun fact. That dude's from Osceola.
but he put up the little prayer sign, and everybody's been talking about that. Get rid of
Uh,
Tennessee, bring Trey
yeah,
Lance in.
is it David Mills? Mills, their backup quarterback.
I don't know. You're talking about
The
Tennessee?
Yeah,
No, that's the Malik Willis guy.
Malik Willis. I'm sorry, that's who I was thinking of. It was the Wills part that I was thinking of. He's he's not it. Like I think they proved that this year.
Yeah.
He's not it. So yeah, I would go for something like that. You know, I don't know what their plan is. And have they? I don't know if they've hired another offensive coordinator.
I don't know.
But if you're going to go after Trey Lance, like it wouldn't, go after Trey Lance, make that an RPO system, you should be fine. To be honest with you, um, and if I'm going to shop Garoppolo, I think I know where I'm shopping him to. I'm shopping him to the Miami Dolphins, like and everything, as a reliable backup to Tua Tagovailoa, who probably shouldn't play anymore, but will. Um, but I think that would be a reliable backup. I don't know how him and the head coach get along because that was his offensive coordinator
Yeah.
last year. But maybe they get along well enough. So I would shop him to the Miami Dolphins. And heck, see if you strike gold again. If you're going to continue playing what is the best defense, get a reliable backup that can play against the best defense in the league again so that you'll have someone that's behind Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
I'm not against though. I want to say this. I'm not against riding with Brock Purdy from here on out. I'm just not. Like I think he proved it. I think there's a very good shot he was in the Super Bowl. It
Yeah.
just didn't happen because he got hurt, which is unfortunate. But I think there's a good chance of that.
Well, we're going to end right here. Obviously they ask people stupid questions at the end of a big game. They asked James Bradbury, which was the cornerback for the Eagles, about the hold. And he said it was a hold. I was tugging on his jersey.
So there is a commercial. I don't know if you remember this commercial, but do you remember like one of those sportsmanship commercials that was like on network television a long time ago? About a long time ago, like early 2000s, where it was like kindness goes a long way or sportsmanship, it goes a long way. And it's that basketball game and it's like the championship basketball game.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, Coach, I touched the ball last.
Yeah.
And, that's what, stop it. Stop talking.
Well,
Don't do that.
yeah, but the difference between that is that's in the moment of the game. It's not like he went up to the ref and said, "Hey, ref, I did it."
That we know of.
No.
But oh well, the season's over with. The new season has begun. The off season is here, and now we get to hope and dream for the next year. I think both of my NFL championship picks did not come through at all. Because I'm pretty sure I picked the 49ers and the Bills to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh well. The
All
Bills
right.
need a better offense.
Well, that's going to be it from our episode tonight. Ryan, thank you for joining me.
No problem. Anytime.
We're going to try to have another one soon. We're going to talk about some of the new trailers we saw in Super Bowl tonight with Guardians of the Galaxy, The Flash. Talk about maybe some TV series that have come out, video games, other interesting topics on our next one. And then maybe hit on some NBA talk since that's what's going on. But anyways, from me and Ryan, hope everyone enjoyed listening, and we will catch y'all in the future.
Yep.